And as the National Assembly prepares to debate the 93 billion shilling supplementary budget tabled before it in the coming weeks, questions continue to emerge over the government's honesty to enforce austerity measures. President William Ruto and his deputy Gachagua have already exhausted their annual budget of the 8.64 billion shillings 4 months before the end of the current financial year. The presidency is one of the best funded institutions in the country, but it is also turning out to be the most extravagant. Now, Ruto and Gachagua are asking for an additional 5 billion shillings in the supplementary budget. James Kahonge interrogates how Ruto's administration has been spending taxpayers' money since coming to office.
This morning, thank you.
On multiple occasions, President William Ruto has appealed to departments in his government to slash their expenditure by 300 billion shillings to shut off the borrowing tap. At the same time, however, the presidency has been on a spending spree, withdrawing from the exchequer 2.2 billion shillings in December last year alone, against a monthly average of 1.2 billion shillings.
William Samoei Ruto.
The inauguration of President Ruto alone sank 200 million shillings set aside in the 2022-2023 financial year for the assumption of office activities. Treasury said at the time that the millions would help to facilitate a smooth transition to the next administration.
Inherited a dilapidated economy that is facing almost an economic shutdown. We have a 10 trillion public debt. 6 million Kenyans have no employment. 14 million Kenyans are in CRB. We have a demoralized public service.
But even as they blame the administration of former President Uhuru Kenyatta for mismanaging taxpayers' money, Ruto and Gachagua's own government has been indulging expensive champagne on a beer budget. Only 6 months after assuming power, the duo has already overshot their annual budget by 405 million shillings.
We have to look at what is essential and what is not essential. That is why the budget cuts were in areas which were not essential.
For a government that claims to be cash-strapped, the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, created under the Ruto presidency, has been allocated 771 million shillings in the supplementary budget. At the same time, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services (NMS) has been allocated 17.5 billion shillings 6 months after the entity was disbanded.
I will not be the president that will continue the journey of taking our country into debt. It's not an easy thing to do, but I promise you we will do it.
The new administration now says it incurred extra expenses for the launch of the Hustler Fund, with fuel and fertilizer subsidies gobbling up more money. This comes amid rising prices of essential food commodities such as maize flour and cooking oil, with 4.3 million Kenyans in 32 counties facing starvation.
Now, looking at this supplementary budget, because we can only know that the government has succeeded in consolidating or on fiscal consolidation through budgets. If you look at the supplementary budget that we have, is there fiscal consolidation? Yes. The answer is no.
The fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP has reduced from 6.2% to 5.7% against the 5.8% agreed on between the government of Kenya and IMF.
James Kahonge, NTV.